Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I will be showing you how to cut a mermaid skirt. This is a very simple skirt and it is easy to make. Please watch to the end of the video. For you to know how much fabric you would be putting on fold, you will be multiplying your hip measurement, your hip circumference by 2. So I've multiplied my hip circumference by 2 and I've divided by 4. So I have my front fabric folded into 2 and one panel of the front is 19 inches. My hip is 38 and 38 multiplied by 2 is 76 and divided by 4 will give me 19 inches, and I have 19 inches on fold. You will also be folding using the length of your skirt, and the length of my skirt is 41 inches plus 1.5 inches hemming allowance. And I've drawn out some lines and I'll be taking you through the lines I've drawn. The first line is the start line, and from the start line to the second line is the hip line, which is 8 inches, and from the start line to 18 inches is the knee length. The knee length is the length some inches above the knee, about 3 to 4 inches above the actual knee length. And the length of my skirt, as I said before, is 41 inches, and I have extra 1.5 inches for hemming the lower part of the skirt. So the next thing I will be doing will be to impute quarter of my waist measurement on the waistline, and quarter of my waist measurement is 7.25 plus 1 inch for that, so I'll be imputing 8.25 on the waistline. Then on the hip line I'll be imputing quarter of my hip measurement, which is 9.5. I also added 1.5 inches seam allowance on both the waistline and on the hip line, and I'll be connecting these points together using a pant curve. I would connect the points I've made on the waist to the hip and also connect the seam allowance as well. The next thing I will do will be to check the measurements I have on my hip line, and I have 11 inches, that is with the seam allowance inclusive, and from this measurement I'll be subtracting 1.5 inches. You can do 1 inch, 1.25, 1.5 depending on what you want, but I subtracted 1.5, so I'll be imputing 9.5 inches on my knee line. I removed 1.5 and I'll be imputing 1.5 inches on my knee line, and I'll be connecting using a straight ruler to my hip line. Then from the knee line I'll be connecting down to the hem line where I have the 19 inches I folded my front fabric by. I folded my fabric using 19 inches, so from the knee line I would be connecting that point on the knee line. I'll be connecting it straight to the hem line as well as down to the hemming allowance. I'll connect it as you see me do. I'll connect from the knee line to the hem line. As you can see, I have connected from the knee line to the hem line. I have my line, a line running from the knee line to the hem line, and on the hem line from the hemming allowance I came up by 1.5 inches, and I'm connecting back to the middle part of the skirt. This is to make the skirt not to be pointed at the side seams but to be curvy, to be round after hemming it and not pointed at the sides. So I've connected from that 1.5 inches I came up by to the middle part of the skirt. The next thing will be to draw out my darts. Half of my bust span is 4 inches, and from the hip line I came up by 3 inches, and I'm connecting to the 4 inches I came in by from the center front, and I'll draw a line connecting these 2 points, and on both sides of this line I'll be taking ½ inch from the waistline and connecting as you see me do, and that will be the dart for the front panel of the skirt. And then from the waistline I'm coming up by ½ inch, and this would be a ½ inch for joining either to the band if you're making a skirt or to a half bodice if you're making a dress. So I've taken ½ inch and I would connect using a ruler. I'll connect the points together. For the front panel of the skirt, from the center front, starting from the joining allowance, I will come down by 3/4 of an inch by 0.75, and I'll connect it to the side part of the skirt before the seam allowance. I'll connect it as you see me do. Very sorry, I didn't know that wasn't recorded. What I did was to come down from the center front by 3/4 of an inch and connect back to the waistline by the side before the seam allowance. After doing this, I rechecked my measurements to make sure that they are correct and complete, and then I cut out the front panel. While cutting out the front panel, I would not be cutting out the side where I came down by 3/4 of an inch from the center front by the waist, because I'll be using the front panel to trim out the back panel. To cut the back, I have folded my back fabric for the back into two, but the back is 7 inches wider than what I have folded for the front. I used in cutting the front, and I've ruled a line from that extra 7 inches, and I've placed my front pattern on that line. And also the back pattern is 3 inches longer than what I have for the front, because I'll be cutting a little tail together for the back pattern. So as I have placed the front pattern on the back piece, I'll be connecting from the side seam of the front. I'll be tracing down to these 3 inches that I added, the extra 3 inches, and I'll be stopping at that 7 inches extra line I added from the center back. I'll be connecting from the side seam. I'll connect using a curved ruler. I'll connect from the side down to the 7 inches extra I added. That is, the side seam for both the front and the back will be the same, but the center back would be longer by 3 inches and wider by 7 inches. From the center back, I'm taking 1.5 inches from the waist down to the 18 inches, the knee line. I'm taking 1.5 inches to that point, which will act as my zipper allowance. For the back panel, from the hip line, I will be coming down by 2 inches, and from the knee line, I'll be coming in by ½ an inch, and I'll be connecting this ½ an inch to the 2 inches I came down by from the hip line. I would connect as you see me do, and then from this ½ inch I came in by on the knee line, I'll be connecting down to the hem line where I have the extra 7 inches, where the extra 7 inches I added for the back center back stopped. I will be connecting from this ½ inch I came in by down to the hem line where the 7 inches stopped. I would connect as you see me do. So after connecting these lines, I would go ahead and cut out the back panel for the skirt. I will cut out the back panel, and as you can see, I'm using the front, the side of both the front and the back panel are the same, so I'm using the front panel to trace out or to cut out the side of the back panel. Then I will also go ahead and cut out the center back of the skirt. So I have cut out the back part, and this is what we have for the skirt. And if you look closely, though it is not very visible, you will see that at the center back and the center front there is a slight difference. The center back is longer than the center front. I'll also go ahead and trim out that 3/4 of an inch we came down by at the center front, and that is it for how to cut a mermaid skirt. I also would be drawing out the dart for the back. From the hip line, I came up for the back by 2 inches, and I'm connecting to the waist where I have indicated half of my bust span measurement, and I'll be taking ½ inch on both sides of this line for my dart. The dart at the back is 1 inch longer than the dart for the front panel. Like I said earlier, you can use this as a skirt by attaching a band, or you can use it to make a dress by attaching it to an upper bodice. Thank you for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you have not subscribed. Until my next video, bye.